Hello, Marlin. My name is Matthew Hornor. I'm President, CEO, and Director of Maple Gold Mines. We have over a 400 square kilometer land package in the heart of the Abitibi, Greenstone Belt in Quebec, Canada, and have recently started work on a VMS project that is called Morris, which is not too far away from our main project area at Douay.
Matthew, good to meet you. Thank you for taking the time. You look as if you're on the road. Where are you at the moment?
I'm in the United States, speaking with investors and fund managers here around what's coming up next with the team and the project. And I think everyone is quite excited to hear about the plans for this Morris project. There are pockets in the world where people actually still care about junior gold equities, and I think it's important to find them and get in front of them and keep the message alive.
But before we get onto the project itself and that VMS, do you feel as if kind of people are looking at you because of the kind of the slow motion banking crisis and kind of gold is coming onto people's radar screens? Are you seeing anybody new or any new faces, or does it just feel like the gold people who had an interest before in gold are just sharpening their pencils at the moment?
I think it's a little bit of both. There are some groups that have woken up to the idea that gold is actually a good store of value, and they're not really quite sure what to make of the competing, if you will, temporary store of value that is the crypto stuff. And they say, well, we should probably take a close look at this, pay attention to this. If everything goes upside down, gold being the best performing store of value or commodity in the last 3 decades, is probably someplace you want to have some of your net worth. So with all the confusion aside, I think a lot of people who are astute investors recognize that, and they place some in the physical, some in the producers, and then look for the super torquey products that we occupy in expert.
Yeah, super torquey. I like it. Yeah, that bottom up driven kind of the value through the drill bit that gives you that leverage. Tell me about this VMS target, because when I look at your presentation and I look at the news releases from last year, you did this big airborne survey and it came up with some hot spots. In your most recent drilling, am I right in thinking that some of your at Joutel and Douay, you picked up some sphalerite? Is this a typically VMS-y area? I mean, is a lot of your gold hosted in VMSs?
We've seen areas within Tell Eagle West that have the same type of mineralization that lends itself to larger VMS type discoveries. Of course, all around us, there are very large VMS project, Estrades being one of them. We've had off Laurent, of course, and others in the region, been very large projects that are VMS type. So yes, it's not definitely not uncommon in our area to have these types of VMS related hydrothermal alteration type settings. And this is what we're finding out. We hired an expert, Marina, who's going to be helping us with this. So we're building out our team. Of course, Gerald Riveren, who sits on our technical committee, has done a lot of VMS projects within the area as well, and he's overseeing a lot of that work in a new focused team within Maple Gold Mines for this exact type of deposit. So I think we're rounding out. We've deepened our bench with Marina, and we already had with Gerald the expertise there. And I think now it's time to get after it.
And Agnico Eagle got started on a VMS. SK Creek was a super high grade VMS. Is this part of the Agnico joint venture? Will they be funding it, or is this something on a 100% basis that you're doing?
No. The Morris claim is outside, but we do have what we think are some of the base metal VMS type targets at on the JV ground to the west of the resource area. We've picked up some copper zinc targets there that quite anomalies that definitely some attention. We agreed with our JV partners at the beginning of time to do initial $500,000 exploration plan, and we're following through on that initial commitment on the JV ground. But Morris is going to be off to the side, and I think the initial season will be very cost effective because it's going to be field samples and running the team to figure out where the outcrop is and follow up on the geophysics and the airborne mag and everything else, and then we'll figure out where to put the targets for drilling later in the year.
Okay, so this is kind of early stage reconnaissance. Do you feel that it's kind of base metal targeting, or are you agnostic at the moment, open to whatever you find?
Well, on Douay, on the western flank, so to speak, because we have these copper zinc anomalies, I tend to believe that's what we'll probably discover there. At Morris, I'm agnostic. We do think that there's going to be some higher zinc associated with gold there, but I'm agnostic really at Morris.
Okay, and then looking at the kind of company where you are now, you've got some deep drilling results from Douay and Joutel to come out. I think when you spoke with Matt last, you mentioned holes down from 1,600 meters below 1,800 meters and beyond. When do you expect those results to come out?
Sometime probably late June is when we'll have all those together, and then we have to collate them, interpret them, and put them out into the marketplace. So as soon as we possibly can, we like to get them out. It probably means that we had deeper holes from Telbel and Douay. I think the Telbel hole results should be coming in probably first, and then followed by Douay.
So apart from that, what else? I mean, one of the things that I'm kind of gradually learning about the company is trying to kind of put all the pieces of the jigsaw together in terms of who's doing what and where. What else have you got on your plate at the moment?
Well, just remember that the Douay project was combined with the Joutel project. Agnico contributed Joutel, we contributed Douay. Within the Joutel land package, we picked up what was owned by a third party, the Eagle, part of the Eagle Telbel historic mine. So that's 100% ours. Outside of that, within Joutel, is JB ground, along with the Douay land package. So that's 400 square kilometers. We have that section, the Eagle section of the Eagle Telbel prior mine that it's 100% owned by us. And then Morris is outside of that.
In terms of the budgets you've got planned for this year, so you've got the joint venture ground, you've got the Eagle Telbel 100%, and then you've got Morris claims as well. So how do the budgets break down in terms of allocation of your capital, or dollar spend, and then how much is attributable for you?
Well, Agnico is $18.25 million of exploration budget. We're rounding out year 3 or middle of year 3. And I think that those would be an even split between Douay and Telbel. At Joutel, with their remaining funding, I think there's another $8 million, give or take, remaining $9 million. And then we'll be looking at the VMS targeting with them, which is about $500,000 on the western flank of our project area. And then it's yet to be determined exactly the budget for Morris. I'd like to not give specific numbers until I know where we're going to end up, because we're still in those committee, in the technical advisory committees now, going through all those numbers, but that'll have its own line item, of course.
But given that it's a relatively early stage, the Morris claims is field reconnaissance is not likely to be a lumpy capital sum, presumably.
Correct. That's correct, yeah.
And in terms of the $8 to $9 million that is yet to be spent on the joint ventures, is that all going to be done this year? What are we looking at in terms of time frame?
No, that's next year. There'll be a little bit left at the latter half of this year, and then the bulk of the remaining amounts will be spent in the final year of the contracted joint venture funding by Agnico.
I'm trying to coax from you where the drilling is going to go this year. And I'm just looking for the kind of the bottom up catalysts in terms of news flow?
Yeah. We, yes, we're gonna have all the news flow out from the deeper drilling at Telbel and Douay. And then, of course, Merlin, we're not going to immediately go to drilling. We have to interpret what it is we found and figure out where we want to go next. So I just have to be careful about what I say. And as far as timing goes, it may be that we get after some of the higher and drier ground in the third quarter and start drilling, begin the drilling program then. And then at Douay, beginning of next year, January is when we go for the area that needs to typically be colder for us to go after it. But that would start when things freeze over and we don't need helicopter support because that's quite expensive.
Correct me if I've got my thinking wrong. At Douay and Jutel, you've got 3 million ounces, of which it's sitting within about 87 million tons of rock. 10 million tons of that is at 1.5 grams, 1.6 grams. That's in the indicator category. And then you've got 2.3 million ounces sitting in the remaining 77 million tons.
Yeah,
in the inferred category.
Approximately, yeah, that's right. But that's all in Douay. That's not Jutel.
Okay, sorry, that's all in Douay. When you get the deeper drilling back, at that point you've kind of got a choice. You've got a choice of either you're going to try and kind of pull out and then drive the envelope bigger to define more ounces below and kind of down the plunging chutes, or kind of upgrade the resource you've got with an average depth of 300 meters through infill drilling and kind of de-risking the ounces you've already got. Or of course the third option is a combination of the two. I know you can't answer that question. You can't say what you're going to be doing until you've got the results back. But what's the conversation at the board level about what you'd like to be doing? Well, what are you saying? Let's push the envelope. Let's see if we can get the kind of this grow this to be really big, or let's accelerate the development by infilling. What's the internal chatter?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really answer the question. I mean, but you have to imagine who our partner is and what they're going for. Does 3 million ounce project move the needle for them? Do they have to look at multi-generational deposit types in order to maintain their market cap? Are they looking at the Abitibi, which they talk all the time about, where most of their projects are in Quebec? So you should think about it from that perspective. We are very aligned with our partners, who are a very large gold producer, the biggest in Canada. And the thing we do is in conjunction and cooperation with them, trying to build something very large and very important. I would like to put 55 rigs across Douay, go down to 2,000 meters and do systematic drilling and prove out what I believe to be tens of millions of ounces sitting there below the 3 million ounces near surface. That's what I would like to do. I came from the Ivanhoe Mine School of Thought, where I worked with Freeland for just put the rigs on and go for it. I mean, this is drill and drill deep. This is the smartest approach, I think, for us. But the cost of that is not insignificant. But I believe this will actually bear tremendous fruit in the future as we bring this project forward. So I'd like to do this, as well as upgrading the near surface ounces, upgrading that category, putting together a scoping study, which we internally work on those scoping studies all the time. Some of the third-party institutions that cover us write up their own mine models, which they're always apt to do, and put some economics around what they think the mine looks like with the existing ounces we have today. But I'm always looking at hardening those numbers, upgrading, advancing, adding to those ounces near surface, because you'll get paid with near surface ounces as you go down deeper regardless. Just look at Malartic and what they did there. It's a massive project, and they got paid as they went down, and they keep discovering more and more. Look at East Goldie, even below what they've historically mined at that project that's down to 2,000 meters. So it is a very, very large project. Thank goodness we have Agnico as our partner. They're thinking big in terms of everything. And I think the potential is very real for us to see this through with them, and to provide real win for everybody involved.
What do you think is going to unlock the what's going to unlock their cash box to enable that drilling to accelerate? Because what do they need to see? Is it simply the results from this deep round of drilling? Might you suddenly in Q3 go, right, we've got enough, 5 drill rigs we're off, or 10 drill rigs, or whatever the number is, or are they looking?
Could happen. I mean, I believe that, and this is not confirmed by anything, but I think really it's a 5 million ounce number, and that's the critical mass in my mind. I think it's probably something close to that in their mind, where things big enough for them to start putting number of rigs and really going for it. And then we'll see what Maple's doing as in the meantime.
Remind me of the structure of the joint venture. At what point do you have to start committing or contributing?
Beginning of 2025.
Okay, so
or if we go beyond the budgeted amount in any given year, we end up spending 50-50.
Okay, so there's a part of your brain is thinking accelerate, but there's also part of your brain which is probably thinking, let's wait for the market to catch up so that we're not in an ongoing dilutive situation with our share price at the current value.
Yeah, it's I've never been rewarded for sitting back and doing nothing, even when people have suggested that I do that. Even at the beginning of the pandemic, everyone thought that we should batten down hatches, be afraid of the world. Do nothing, hold on to the cash we had, do no drilling, etc. And I said, well, that doesn't really help our shareholders. We have to go off and drill, and we did drill, and we had some of our best results ever, landing into the white hot gold tape in the summer of 2020, which caused us to have multiple offers, not just from Agnico. I chose Agnico because they're the best partner, but again, it was because we did the work at the project level to drive the value, because it takes time. I mean, it may be in a week or a month or half a year that the markets turn, the markets catch up, as you say. I can't predict those things. Nobody can. And if Mother Earth is responsive and we do our job with the drill bit, we can remind people what we did find when the markets come back to life again. But it's not like you can turn the drill bit on and 2 days later you have results and you can start feeding it to marketplace. Even if the markets do come back, it's a 6-9 month turnaround time before you drill, or get permits, then drill, then get information back, then put it out to the marketplace, and then you're in a position to market properly. So it's a very challenging job that we have. I know you've been done this yourself, but it's like building a building that nobody may ever occupy until they need the space, and everyone comes running to try to rent your space. It's like these are long lead items that you have to keep plugging away at until people start really paying attention.
Well, I guess that kind of leads on to your shareholder register. I look at some of the names and the funds. You've got Case in there. You've got Fidelity. I see you've got Stevens Investment Management. He likes to carry. What is the feedback you're getting from your larger shareholders? Is it just kind of carry on? We'll support you. Keep going. What are they asking you to do?
A lot of them are saying there should be more M&A in the space. They're saying that that's a good idea, and of course, we're looking around us all the time for some good opportunities that would be accretive. Of course, I can't say anything about that.
You need to find someone to do that. You need to find someone with a lower rated paper than yours.
If on a relative basis, both companies have come down by the same amount, it doesn't matter at all. I mean, it comes down to the project, the quality of the projects they have, the ounce count, and the quality of the ounces they have, people always incorrectly think that the job of the CEO is to get their project highest value and then pull the trigger and buy everybody else who somehow didn't rise on the tides. And you're the only one that rose on the tides, and that's like the magic alignment of the stars. And that's the time you have to buy everybody else at pennies on a dollar. And of course, all the management teams are going to line up to sell their companies to you that magically are undervalued when you're at your proper price, etc. But that's just not the way it works. I mean, most companies get whacked by the markets at the same time, whether they're indiscriminately, right? And you need to look at the relative nature of market caps and what's going on, and not care about that as much, because if we're 3 times the price and they're three times the price or value market cap wise, what difference does it make? So you're doing a merger of a $300 million and a $300 million company versus 60 million and 50 million or 40 million. Okay, it doesn't matter. The re-rating that you experience and enjoy because of the consolidation, that's what is going to get your shareholders a better.
It has to be the strategic fit. That strategic fit had to make sense.
Yeah. And we're not going to pull up. I'm not going to get a project in Mongolia. No offense to my Mongolian friends with whom I used to work when I was at Ivanhoe Mines. That would be too far afield. It's not going to be anywhere that's too esoteric or near jungles, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be something that people understand, and it's Canada, et cetera, et cetera. So I wouldn't even look at something in, Spain or other places that just don't make sense for us. It wouldn't fit the narrative. As we like to say, it's like a mango screen door company when you have copper in Mexico and gold in Canada, for example, or Peru. It's too hard for people to wrap their heads around. How do they model it? How do they think about it, etc.
What do you call it? A mango screen company?
Mango screen door company. That's an old line from the old shop. If the store is selling mangoes and screen doors, people don't know what to do when they get in the store.
Very good. So in terms of catalysts that we can look forward to, in terms of the news flow and the catalyst for the rest of the year that you think is going to help you re-rate, quite apart from the marketing you're doing and the wider market, the gold price, for example, what are you looking to deliver this year?
I think we're looking to deliver some of the results from the deeper drilling. That should have an impact. I think July tends to be pretty good for gold, actually. So if we're able to deliver those, if we're able to deliver those in the July timeframe, which has usually historically been good for gold, then we'll be in good shape.
Good. Well, I look forward to seeing those results, and good luck with the marketing and the rest of the year. And see you at the next one.
All right. Thank you, Merlin. Appreciate it.